America's Protestant churches were caught up in a sweeping religious revival. Many slaveholders saw a value in exposing their slaves to Christianity. The message from the pulpit was clear.
Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters. Obey your old master and your young master. If you disobey your earthly master, you offend your heavenly master. You must obey God's commandments.
Many African Americans, however, were extracting a very different message from the good book.
All the stories about being brought to the promised land, being saved, I mean, that had special meaning to slaves. So that the slaves drew from Christianity the parts that particularly spoke to the oppressed, the parts that said God won't forget you, the part that said it doesn't matter what people on earth think about you, I, God, love you.
On August 22nd, 1831, a small army of the oppressed rose up, and the world of Harriet Jacobs and of slaves throughout the South was forever changed. An enslaved preacher named Nat Turner led 70 slaves in an uprising in Southampton County, Virginia. In a 48-hour period, they killed 57 whites, including women and children.
It is no accident that Nat Turner was a preacher. It is no accident that when he goes to war, he does so based upon commandments that he finds in the Bible, in Christianity. It was disturbing, to say the least, to slaveholders that their slaves might spout back to them Christian doctrine which would justify slave rebellion.
As word of the rebellion spread across the South, whites began to lash out. In Edenton, Harriet watched in terror as every person of color became a target.
Groups of white men were rushing in every direction, wherever a colored face was to be found. Everywhere, men, women, and children were whipped till the blood stood in puddles at their feet. Mobs dragged along a number of colored people, each white man threatening instant death if they did not stop their shrieks.
And so, after Nat Turner's rebellion, lots of slaves who had nothing at all to do with the rebellion suffered. Sometimes were killed. Not because they were involved in the slave rebellion, but because white people were more afraid. And when they got more afraid, they got more violent, and they were more dangerous.
They had to retaliate. They had to show that, in fact, no black rebellion would or could succeed. And so they struck back. They killed blacks in the countryside. They took and cut off their heads, and they put them on the roadside on stands as a sign to all blacks that they could not and should not rebel.
The South remained on high alert. Patrols guarded roads and gathering places. Slaveholders fostered a martial atmosphere that embraced brutality as a necessity.